Hello and welcome back to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg. It's been a little quiet on the channel this week because I have been sick. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I had actually almost completely lost my voice yesterday. Today is much better, kind of rebounding from that, but you might hear it a little bit in my voice. It's been a week. We're here today to do a Friday Reads. This is where I wrap up the week in reading. I did finish a book on the plane and we'll talk about that. But otherwise, things have been kind of quiet because of, the crud that has crept in. We did go to New York last weekend for my sister's wedding. That was a lot of fun. I was very happy to see her happy. And she is having a baby boy due in June, I believe, only a couple of days after my birthday. So that is fun and exciting and something to look forward to. I had not seen a lot of these family members, including my sisters, since before the pandemic because I don't live anywhere near New York. So it was nice to see people. It was weird to be back in New York City. We lived there for several years and I spent most of my life living around the New York City area. So I've spent a lot of time there, obviously. It's changed a lot since the last time we were there. So, that was interesting. A lot of the time in the past when we went back, it did kind of feel like home and familiar, and maybe it's because of the extra gap in time since the last time we were there, but it didn't really feel like home this time. And maybe it's just that next year we will have been in Montana for 10 years. Who knows? But yeah, so that was interesting. But it was nice to see my sisters and some friends and spend time with them. We did see 2 shows. I have the playbills here. We spontaneously decided to see Take Me Out, starring Jesse L. Williams and Jesse Tyler Ferguson. That was really great. I had seen the original Broadway production when it was on, and Joel saw it in Seattle. It was a very good show. We enjoyed it, and I didn't think it was still open on Broadway. And it was a kind of pleasant surprise to see that it was still there and that there were tickets available. We had planned to see Moulin Rouge, and that was amazing. Joel is a huge fan of the movie. I like the movie. I'm a little up and down on the movies. I have to be in the mood for it because it's a little frantic sometimes, but I do like it a lot. And the show is pretty perfect as an adaptation of it for Broadway. We paid extra to have these ridiculous seats that are kind of in the stage, and that was a lot of fun. So those were some of the activities that we did while we were in New York. We did get to exchange Christmas gifts with my nieces. That was fun. I hadn't seen them since before the pandemic either. My sister gave me this t-shirt, which I'm about to show you. Forget Elf on a Shelf, it says. It's Blanche on a Ranch, and it's Shady Pines Ranch. My sister gets me. What can I say? Obviously, this video will be posting on Christmas Eve if you watch it the day that it posts. So Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If you don't, forget it. Never mind. Ignore the hat, ignore the tree, ignore all of it. But if you do celebrate, I hope you are having a good Christmas season. It's probably going to be quieter than usual because of, the crud going on. Unfortunately, Joel started getting sick yesterday, so I'm on the uptick. He's on the downswing. And unfortunately, that's just the way it works. So we might have a quiet Christmas this year, but that's fine. Jamie is doing great. She did very well while we were gone. We had been a little worried about that. And my throat is getting annoyed at me for spending so much time talking. So we're going to keep this short today. But we had a great trip to New York, and it's unfortunate that the trip caused this, but it's nice to be home. It's nice to be here at Christmas and looking forward to a quiet week ahead. I would have preferred not to travel, but it was my sister's wedding, so I had to be there. And it's sad that it resulted in the crud. It's not COVID, it's not the flu, it could be worse. But I'll take it. It was nice to be there. So I did finish one book. In my last Friday Reads video, I mentioned that I was debating whether or not I would bring Demon Copperhead on the plane with me. And I did, in the end. And it also kind of reminded me why I don't bring books on planes anymore, because there's no room. I'm already tall for planes. I don't fit in the seats very well. So adding a book in there is a lot. Like me with the book took up all the space between me and the seat in front of me. It was an ordeal. The book itself also got a little banged up in the travel, but at least I finished it. And I loved it. I don't know if I'm going to say a whole lot about it now. One, because of my voice, and two, because this is definitely something that I will talk about again in my December wrap-up and in the best books of 2022. Somebody did ask if I was going to do a best books of the year before the end of the year. I don't do it before the end of the year. I wait until January because I figure there's always a chance you could finish something, and then what happens to those books that you like. I've seen people posting their best reads of best books of the year already, like this week, and to me that's crazy because there's a whole week left in the year. What if you read something else? So, and that's my opinion on it. So beginning of January, we will do our video, and this will definitely factor in. I'm trying to decide where it will factor in. It's top two, and I'm debating the top two right now. I'm going to pause this for a second so I can drink some tea. Oh, that's the stuff. I am not a tea drinker, but when you've got the crud, it's the best. Anyway, it's going to be top two. I'm trying to decide. It's that sort of age-old debate between the book that is technically flawless, and if you think as a critic deserves to be number one, or the book that speaks to you emotionally. And that's kind of where I'm trying to parse out my top five, and especially the top two. But it's up there. I really love this book. I did see a review this week where somebody gave it 5 stars, but complained that the ending, like they said, well, Barbara Kingsolver just put melodrama after melodrama toward the end. And to me, it just kind of showed it's like that this person didn't know the origins of the story. Like it's based on David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. So Barbara Kingsolver didn't really do that. And I think it's also, and I believe David Copperfield was actually serialized. So sometimes you would have to end a section with cliffhangers. Keeps people reading. But also, I think it's a little bit naive of the way certain people live. If you have a hard life, bad things happen to you again and again and again. Like by the time I was 20 years old, I had only been to 2 funerals, and they were both for older people in my family who had died. By the time my foster son was 20, he had been to roughly 20 funerals in his life, including that of his mother. And all of those people, a lot of them were young. All of them ended badly, not just old age. So there are people who have lives like that. And I don't know if I'm being coherent right now, but I thought it all worked really well and was very smartly plotted. And I really appreciated it a lot. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it because, again, the crud, I can already feel myself wanting to take another sip of tea. But I really loved it a lot. And this is a HarperCollins title. I will put links down below to information about the HarperCollins strike, so you can check that out. But I am definitely going to need another sip of tea. Hold on. Oh, I sipped it too fast and my eyes are watering. So we're doing great. We're doing great. Anyway, I really loved this book. If you're unfamiliar, this is based on David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. And it takes that story and places it in Appalachia toward the modern day. I do think there are some inconsistencies in time in the book. They don't really matter very much, but they were noticeable to me. For instance, there's a portion of the book that is supposed to be set in the late 90s, and Demon refers to a girl in the high school who has suddenly started dressing like Madonna in her cowgirl getup. Well, Madonna didn't do cowgirl getup until somewhere in the 2000s. So little things like that. And again, in the late 90s, he mentions that he feels cool because he gets a members only jacket. Well, members only jackets are 80s. So it does feel a little bit out of time in a way, but I really enjoyed it. I like this book a lot, and that didn't take anything away from the experience of it. And I would definitely highly recommend it. I know a lot of people have read it and loved it as well. So that's where I'm at with that. I'll probably talk more about it when I have my voice like fully back. But I really did like this. It's definitely going to be in my top 2 for 2022, which you can stay tuned for. So here's my problem. I didn't get much of any reading done once we got back, because once we got back, I was like fully into the crud and didn't really feel like reading. So I had started the audio of Cemetery Boys. I think I was on chapter 2, still on chapter 2, and did not progress any further than that. And I will be getting back to it. I was enjoying it. The first 2 chapters were great. I just need to dive in and work on that some more. So once I finished Demon Copperhead, I'm at 94 books for the year. Part of me had been thinking, I'm so close, I would love to hit 100. And at this point, I don't know if I'm going to manage to do that. I also have 4 books to read to finish Montana Book Company's reading challenge for 2022. Cemetery Boys is actually one of them. So that would put me at 98 books, which makes me even more eager to get there. But I don't even know if I'm going to finish the Montana Book Company reading challenge at this point, because there's a week left in the year. And I'd have to do 4 books to finish the Montana Book Company reading challenge, and then another 2 books to hit 100. So I think I'm just going to say whatever happens, happens. If I finish the Montana Book Company challenge, great. If I hit 100, great. If I don't, it's fine. There's always next year. I'd rather not try to force myself to rush with this going on. And I'm sure you can appreciate that. But I am going to pick up a physical book that is going to count for the Montana Book Company. Like, I'm not going to give up. So I'm picking up The Women of Brewster Place by Gloria Naylor next as my physical book to replace Demon Copperhead. I've had this sitting next to me all week long and I haven't picked it up. I haven't even started it. But this would fit a prompt for that challenge. Read a book from the year that you were born. And I've wanted to read this book for a really long time anyway. So it seems like the perfect way to meet that prompt. And because I've wanted to read it for a really long time anyway, it seems like something that would be good to read anyway. I've always been looking for an excuse. So whether I finish the challenge for the year or not, whether I hit 100 books or not, I think this is a book that would be worth my time. It's 192 pages too. So hopefully I should have no problem being done with it before the end of the year. If it ends up being my final physical book of the year, that's fine. Not going to push myself to do more. I do need another sip of tea, so bear with me a second. So if I finish Cemetery Boys and The Women of Brewster Place, I have 2 books left in the Montana Book Company reading challenge that I need to do. And I can only, The 30 Names of Night and The Sheep Queen, both of which I have physical copies of, but both of which are also available on audio. So if I manage to finish Cemetery Boys and I don't have to work for the rest of the year, so that's a little dicey. It could mean I have a lot of free time. It could mean I end up doing a lot of other things. So if I finish Cemetery Boys, I might pick up one of them on audio and see how that goes, and just baby step my way and see where I'm at. If I can finish the challenge before the end of the year, great. It'll be totally fine. But I'm not going to push myself to do it. But I am going to sort of stay on target for the challenge so I can try to finish it before the end of the year. And since I have been under the weather, I didn't get anything posted on the channel this week. I am going to rely on my blooper reel. I had been thinking about whether or not I would just scrap a blooper reel. I do have one, but it's the BookTube anniversary thing that I do. I started my channel at the end of the year in 2019, I believe, or 2018. And then 2019 was my first full year on BookTube. So the end of the year is also my BookTube anniversary, and I usually do a blooper reel to celebrate. And then I have another one that I publish in June as a sort of mid-year celebration. But a lot of people don't watch them. I enjoy them. The people who do watch them seem to really like them. But I admit I almost didn't want to, just said, you know what, just let it go. Not a lot of people seem to enjoy them. But then I thought, but the people who do watch it really like it. And also, I don't really have much else to post right now. So I am probably going to post that tomorrow. as you're watching this. So this video is going to post on Christmas Eve. The blooper reel will post on Christmas Day. Just a sort of a BookTube anniversary thing, a Christmas present for whoever wants it. I have fun putting it together, so there's always that as well. And then I will try to do a book haul next week, if nothing else. And then Joel and I will do our monthly wrap up. And then once we get into January, we'll do our favorite reads of 2022. So you can look forward to that. We might do a separate video for fiction and nonfiction this year. But we'll see how that goes. I know a lot of people had said that they wanted the NPR Big Books list, and I fully intended to do it this week. It was supposed to be my project when we got back from New York. And because of the crud, I didn't do it. So I don't know at this point if it's going to happen. I apologize. If I can manage to do it next week, I will. But odds are, since I need to do a book haul for December and the monthly wrap up, it might not happen. And I apologize. I knew it was a long shot when I asked people to tell me if they wanted it or not. So I probably should have just left it alone. Lesson for myself for the future. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at this so I can go drink more tea. I had been thinking maybe I would film the book haul today so I could just have it done and not have to worry about it during my week off between the holidays. And as I'm talking and sort of struggling to keep talking, I am learning and accepting that it's just not going to happen. Not a good time for it. I should give myself some vocal rest, and that makes me sound really important. Give myself some vocal rest. But come back when I'm ready. And I'll have a little more stamina to get through a longer video because my December book haul is going to be large. That was not intended to be a whisper. My voice went out there. So I should stop talking. The last thing I'll say is also, next week I am going to be working on a project in my library. So it's going to have a new look in 2023, and I can't wait to share it with you once it's done. That's going to be my big project for the week off between Christmas and New Year's. And I can't wait to have it done. I can't wait to show it to you and let you see it. Hopefully it will look nice. I'm excited. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, I think I will leave it at that. And I will just say Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. If you don't, Happy Holidays. If you're not into the holidays, I hope you have a good week and ignore all this. But anyway, as always, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for another great year on BookTube. Looking forward to a new one up ahead. I can't even do the math in my head to figure out how many years I've been on BookTube now. Okay, so December 2019 was my first full year. Then there was 2020, 2021, and now 2022. 4 years. Thank you for 4 good years on BookTube. Looking forward to the start of number 5. And I really appreciate all the comments and the joy that you've shared with me, the sympathy and the hugs that you have sent during hard times. This is a wonderful place to be, and that is because of you. So thank you for all of that, and thank you for your time watching this video and any others that you have happened to watch. So as always, I will be back. Until next time, happy reading.